How y'all doing, family? Per usual, black love, black pride, and black power. You have to know yourself, to love your people. And yeah, I'm gonna be dropping a couple of videos today, like I told my people on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, do that thing. I'm not gonna put it on here though, because I've been getting trolls lately, and I don't just need people making fake pages pretending to be black to hop on my page. Anyways, we're going to call this one Semantics Tactics, okay? Pettiness within the black community. And as usual, I got my champagne flute full of spring water. And we're going to get my little bougetto on while I break this shit down. Excuse me. It just seems like nowadays people want just anything to get away from black Africanness, man. Just golly, my nerves just be too shot with this shit. But let's jump into it, family. It's become extremely hard to build with black people because of all of the division and distraction tactics. It seems like everything is trying to take away from the point that is African, and that is, you know, Africa and being African. Okay. I had this experience with the Hebrew Israelite and a Christian with the K. And basically, we were all driving in the car and we were all having a conversation, and I seen where things were going, because even though they believe in the same doctrine, they believe in it completely differently. And then me, an African spiritualist, I'm just sitting here looking at the whole situation like, wish this was wine. I'm gonna need several joints to get through this day. Anyways, I got to the point where I noticed that every time I would try to say a sentence, and instead of looking at the whole point of the sentence, that both guys would find one word that we all understood what and who I was talking about, but because it's not the word that they use, they would jump on that one word and completely segue into a whole nother conversation and discussion. And this would happen with every statement that someone in the car tried to make, you know? And then a similar thing happened when I went and was having dinner and wine with a group of friends and whatnot. Two of us were African spiritualists. Two of us were Moors. Now, the good news is one of the Moors was more on the same wavelength with me when it came to the idea of we all have the same goal to help the same group of people. However, the other Moor at the table was more caught up in trying to convince me not to use the word black, and trying to convince me to get, you know, that Africa is not entirely the answer, and all of this other kinds of stuff that I personally, on my journey, I've heard out the Moors, I've heard out the Israelites, I've heard out the Christians, I've heard out all of them, and I found that none of them made true sense and had a full foundation for me to place my belief into. So in my head, it's a waste of time to even talk about these things, and we're getting away from the point, which was what the sister said and what I've been saying the whole time. We know the group of people we're talking about, and we all want the liberation of these people, you know, and that should be enough. Then I had an experience recently with some sisters who are joining the NOI, Nation of Islam. And these Muslim sisters, you know, were mad cool, and conversation was going well until, you know, they started telling me about NOI, trying to, you know, get me to come out to the mosque. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with the NOI. You know, I had a lot of NOI family. It just wasn't for me. So when I told them that I'm not interested in that, I'm an African spiritualist, then all of a sudden we couldn't even have a conversation without, and I'm sitting here the whole time, I'm just trying to get them to realize that's cool. Y'all believe what y'all believe for now and whatnot. And I believe and I know what I know to be true. So how about we just focus on that? And I told them, like, it'll be a lot more productive and it'd be a lot easier to converse with each other if we just focus on the things we have in common versus the petty differences. And it took me an hour and a half to get them to understand that, because every time I say a word, I say the word African. All of a sudden, all this other kind of stuff. And then they'll go and say something about, you know, those people being our brothers. I'm like, well, that's not possible. You know, it was just all these little things. Every time I would try to say a sentence to get to the point, they'd find one word and segue. And it's like, we all speak English, which is our foundation for understanding and communicating with one another when it comes to everything else. Why not this? I hate this language as much as the next African with some sense. However, I find it almost comical. And I say almost because it spends more time on my nerves than it does being comical. That nobody has a problem speaking English and understanding that we all have a common understanding of things and whatnot until it comes to someone trying to build and get shit done. Okay? If we can't stop the pettiness to act like, if we can't stop the pettiness for you to act like you get what the fuck I'm saying, then you're wasting my time. Okay? It seems like so much time is wasted on exploiting petty differences because it's a smooth diversion tactic from actually building something. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a smooth diversion tactic to keep from actually building something. People, whether you call us, I'm not even going to entertain that. I'm not going to entertain that. Point is, when it comes to building, we all want to have this whole kumbaya moment, like, oh, we should be able to pull our differences aside to build this vision and whatnot. And I'm really starting to wonder, can I build people who can't get to the fucking point? And I'm not get to the point, stick to the point. And I have plenty of different people in my life who have plenty of different beliefs and understandings and backgrounds and whatnot. Yet, for the most part, majority of us are able to kick it, have a conversation, come together, because we all have the foundation of understanding that we want the liberation of African people, and that this white supremacy system and anything to do with white supremacy and these mutation versions that of Neanderthals that crawled out of the Caucasus Mountains gotta go. And if that's all understood, then I don't see what the problem is. I don't have the energy to sit there and present all these facts and whatnot on how you can't get around the fact that we're African, and that the entire African diaspora, in order to get this job done, needs to come together, and that we all understand that the problem is white supremacy and the enforcers of white supremacy, which is the active and passive white supremacists running around here. You know, so I don't understand why it's always got to be these nitpicking debates. I can't finish a fucking sentence because the moment I say black people, you want to sit there and go way left on how, you know, that word means this, that, and the third. You want to get all into the etymology of words and shit. Everybody want to become an etymologist until it's time to get to the point. If I tell you right now, yo, you hungry? You trying to grab something to eat? You're not going to sit there. Hebrew Israelites not going to sit there and tell me, now you know that hungry is the white man's word. And according to King Solomon, we're supposed to use this word because when you say hungry, you mean this, that, and the third. And that's what it's really saying. You know? A Christian with the K is going to be like, do you know what you're saying when you use the term eat? Because eating is actually unholy. When you look at the original Bible and you read, you know, Genesis verse this and this, you're going to see that we're not supposed to use the word eat because that's not what it was. You know, I'm not going to sit there and talk to him more. I'm like, hey, you know, you want to run to the mall real quick? Oh, not the mall. You know, don't use the word mall. We're going to call it this, that, and third. Because if you look at this, that, and third, you get my point? Ain't nobody doing that shit. But when it comes to liberate, I say some shit like we trying to liberate African people. All of a sudden, we can't be African. You know it wasn't really called Africa. And you know that, you know, you shouldn't be using that name, Wutu or the word black. All this kind of shit. And I'm like, you know who I am talking about. You know the group of people I'm talking about. You know what the fuck I mean. We all have the same language foundation, and why can't we just use that shit to communicate? You know, like, I literally have a small headache now. I'm sorry. If you don't want to build, just say so. Goddamn. If you don't want to build, just say so. And if you do, then act like you know what I'm saying, because you do. And I'm going to act like I know what you're saying because I do, unless there's a time when I genuinely don't. And then I'm going to let you know, look, I don't quite understand what you mean on that one, but I get the point, I get the gist, and I'm not going to sit there and pitter-pat and go on these semantics tactics to completely distract and get away from the point. Anyways, y'all, as usual, Black love, pride, and power. Remember to know yourself, to love your people. Cancel those subscriptions to White Supremacist Weekly and stop it with the diversion tactics and these semantics tactics. I love y'all and peace.